Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Life will never hand you control. You have to take it. Nobody's going to walk up and give you the keys to your own destiny. You've got to decide right now that you're done letting the world push you around, done letting fear dictate your choices, done letting doubt hold you back. Taking control of yourself doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you finally get stronger. It means you stop being a passenger and you grab the wheel. The truth is, God gave every single one of us the power to make choices. But too many people waste that power. If you want your life to change, you have to start by changing yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, if you truly want to take control of yourself, the very first key you need to understand is discipline. Discipline is not a punishment. It is not some strict routine designed to make your life miserable. Discipline is actually the highest form of self-love. When you discipline yourself, you are saying, I deserve better. I deserve progress. I deserve success. Without discipline, everything else in your life falls apart. Because discipline is the foundation that holds your goals, your dreams, and your future together. I've met so many people with incredible talent, people with big dreams, people with potential so bright you could almost feel it when they walk into the room, but they never get anywhere because they refuse to discipline themselves. Talent without discipline is wasted. Dreams without discipline are nothing but fantasies. Success without discipline doesn't exist. Discipline means you are willing to do the hard thing today so you can enjoy the reward tomorrow. It means you choose long-term results over a short-term pleasure. Let's be real. Anybody can do something when they feel motivated, when they're excited, when the mood is right. But discipline is about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. You don't always feel like waking up early, but discipline makes you get out of bed. You don't always feel like working on your craft, but discipline makes you sharpen your skills anyway. You don't always feel like eating clean, saving money, or saying no to distractions, but discipline forces you to stay aligned with your goals. Motivation will get you started, but discipline will keep you going. That's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. Think about it this way. Every time you hit snooze on your alarm, every time you skip the work you know you should be doing, every time you choose comfort over progress, you are casting a vote for the weaker version of yourself. But every time you choose discipline, you are voting for the stronger version, the successful version, the version of yourself that you've always wanted to become. You don't transform your life with one giant decision. You transform it with thousands of small disciplined choices stacked on top of each other. People ask me all the time, Steve, how do you keep moving forward after all the failures, after all the rejection, after all the setbacks? The answer is simple. Discipline. I refuse to let comfort rob me of my destiny. I refuse to let laziness steal my opportunities. Refuse to let fear or doubt decide my future. That refusal, that decision to stay disciplined no matter how I feel is what keeps me moving. Let me make something clear. Discipline is not about being perfect. You're human. You're going to slip. You're going to have moments where you fall off track. But discipline is about getting back up and realigning yourself with the vision. Too many people give up at the first mistake. They think discipline means never failing. No, discipline means you don't quit even after you fail. It means you don't let one bad day turn into a bad week. You don't let one excuse turn into a lifestyle. Discipline is about making your comeback stronger than your setback. It's about consistency, and consistency is what compounds over time to build greatness. The truth is, without discipline, you'll always live at the mercy of your feelings. And feelings are the most unreliable thing you can build a life on. Feelings will change from moment to moment. One day you're fired up, the next day you're lazy. One day you're determined, the next day you're discouraged. If you let your feelings control your actions, your life will always be unstable. But if you let discipline control your actions, then you can be steady, consistent, and unstoppable. Discipline takes the driver's seat and feelings ride in the back. That's how you take control of yourself, by putting discipline in charge. Ladies and gentlemen, the key to unlocking your potential, to creating the life you want to achieve in your dreams, is discipline. Every small choice you make builds the man or woman you become tomorrow. The question is, are you willing to practice discipline today so you can enjoy freedom tomorrow? Because when you control your discipline, you control your destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, second key to taking control of yourself is your mindset. Everything you are and everything you will ever be starts in your mind. Your thoughts are the seeds of your future, and what you plant there is exactly what you will grow in your life. If you think in limitations, you will live limited. If you think in fear, you will live in fear. If you think you are not enough, then every action you take will reflect that belief. But if you dare to think bigger, to believe in possibility, to expect more for yourself, then you give your life permission to rise to that level. The mind is the steering wheel of your destiny. And if you don't take control of it, it will take you places you never wanted to go. Mindset is not just about positive thinking, it is about intentional thinking. It's about refusing to let the junk of the world, the negativity of other people, and the doubts in your own head shape your reality. Too many people let their mind become a garbage dump, where fear, gossip, doubt, and worry pile up until they can't even see their own potential anymore. You cannot control what thoughts knock on the door of your mind, but you can control which ones you let in and which ones you feed. If you feed doubt, it will grow. If you feed fear, it will grow. But if you feed faith, confidence, and possibility, then those will grow. That is why you have to protect your mindset like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me tell you something I've learned. The world will always try to convince you that you are less than what God created you to be. People will tell you your dream is impossible. Circumstances will tell you it's too late. Your own mistakes will whisper that you're not worthy. But mindset is the voice inside you that answers back and says, I am more than my circumstances. I am more than my past. I am more than other people's opinion. Taking control of yourself means silencing the lies and amplifying the truth. And the truth is, you were created with greatness inside you. The truth is, you can rise higher than your situation. The truth is, you are capable of more than you can even imagine right now. The mind is like a thermostat. It sets the temperature of your life. If you set your mindset low, even if you start to rise, life will eventually bring you back down to match the level of your thinking. But if you set your mindset high, even when you face struggles, your life will rise back up to that higher standard. This is why you see people who win the lottery lose it all, because their mindset wasn't prepared for that level of success. And on the other hand, you see people who start with nothing, but because their mindset is rich, their actions catch up to it, and they build wealth, joy, and fulfillment. Your reality will always rise or fall to the level of your thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, mindset also determines how you respond to challenges. Two people can face the exact same setback. One will see it as the end. The other will see it as a lesson. One will say, I can't go on. And the other will say, this is just preparing me for something greater. The difference is not in the problem. The difference is in the mindset. Taking control of yourself requires you to train your mind to see opportunity in the middle of adversity, to see growth in the middle of pain, to see possibility in the middle of impossibility. Your mindset is either your prison or your passport. If you let it stay small, negative, and fearful, it will lock you in a life far beneath your potential. But if you expand it, if you discipline it, if you choose to believe bigger, your mindset becomes your passport to freedom, success, and a better future. That is why every great change in life begins with a change in the mind. When you master your mindset, you master your life. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to take control of yourself, you've got to take responsibility. Responsibility is one of the most powerful words in the English language, and yet it's one of the most avoided. Too many people spend their whole lives blaming somebody else for where they are. They blame their parents, they blame the government, they blame their boss, they blame the economy, they blame their past. But here's the truth. As long as you keep pointing the finger at somebody else, you give away your power to change. Responsibility is not about blame, it's about ownership. It's about standing up and saying, this is my life, my choices, my results, and I will own it. The day you stop waiting for someone to fix your life and start taking responsibility for it is the day everything changes. See, responsibility is power in disguise. When you accept responsibility, you're not saying everything that happened to you was your fault. No, life is not fair, and things will happen that you didn't ask for. You may have been born in a hardship, you may have been betrayed, you may have faced loss or pain you didn't deserve. But responsibility says, I may not control what happened to me, but I do control how I respond. That's where your power lives, in your response. And if your response is always to blame, complain, and give up, then you will always stay stuck. But if your response is to learn, to grow, and to fight back, then you can turn any setback into a comeback. People sometimes ask me, Steve, how did you keep going when doors slammed in your face, when people told you no, when things didn't work out the way you planned? And my answer is simple. I took responsibility. I realized that waiting on other people to open doors for me wasn't going to cut it. I had to get up, I had to grind, I had to believe, I had to take control of my own path. Responsibility means you stop waiting for a savior and you start becoming your own solution. It means you refuse to live as a victim of your circumstances, because victims stay stuck. But responsible people rise. Responsibility also teaches you accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, you refuse to make excuses. Excuses are the language of failure. Excuses will tell you it's not your fault, it's too hard, you can't help it. And the more you repeat those excuses, the more powerless you become. But when you tell yourself the truth and hold yourself accountable, you open the door for change. Accountability says, I could have done better. I should have tried harder. I will not repeat the same mistake again. That kind of honesty with yourself may hurt in the short term, but it will build you into someone unstoppable in the long term. Let me make this plain. Responsibility is not always easy because it forces you to look in the mirror. It's easy to point outside and say, they did this to me, they stopped me, they held me back. But the mirror doesn't lie. The mirror says, what did you do about it? What are you doing right now? What will you do tomorrow? Responsibility is not about shame. It's about empowerment. It's about realizing that as long as you're breathing, you have the ability to make different choices, to take new actions, and to write a new chapter in your story. Ladies and gentlemen, responsibility is the key that unlocks freedom. Once you accept that you are in charge of your own destiny, you stop waiting and start creating. You stop complaining and start building. You stop hoping for a miracle and start becoming the miracle. The moment you decide that your life is in your hands, you take control of yourself. And once you do that, There's nothing in this world that can stop you from rising to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to take control of yourself, you must develop self-belief. Nothing in this world can replace it. Self-belief is the foundation of confidence, the fuel of perseverance, and the key that unlocks your potential. You can have all the talent in the world. You can have all the opportunities lined up in front of you. But if you don't believe in yourself, you will sabotage it every single time. I've seen people with less talent, less education, and fewer resources achieve more than others simply because they had the audacity to believe they could. That belief carried them through doors that fear would have kept closed. Self-belief is not arrogance, it is certainty. It is the quiet, unshakable conviction that no matter what life throws at you, you can handle it, you can grow through it, and you can rise above it. The truth is, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else's belief will matter. People can encourage you, they can cheer for you, they can even open doors for you, but if you don't walk through those doors with confidence, you will not stay there. Opportunities will slip away from people who lack belief because they don't feel worthy of them. Self-belief makes you act like you belong in every room you walk into and makes you speak up when your mind tries to silence you. It makes you keep showing up even when nobody is clapping for you. Taking control of yourself means you stop waiting for outside validation and start giving yourself the validation you need to move forward. Self-belief is tested the most when you fail. Anybody can believe when things are going well, when the money is flowing, when the applause is loud, when the opportunities keep coming. But true self-belief is forged in fire. It's when you get told no over and over and still decide to keep going. It's when people laugh at your dream and you refuse to shrink. It's when life knocks you down and you look at yourself and say, I will rise again. That kind of belief cannot be given to you. You have to develop it inside yourself. And every time you refuse to quit, your belief grows stronger. Every time you take one more step when you felt like stopping, your belief gets bolder. That inner muscle builds through resistance. And the more you use it, the more unstoppable you become. Some of you are waiting for permission to believe in yourself. And I need to tell you that no one is coming to give it. Nobody's going to show up with a certificate that says you are now worthy. You've got to decide that for yourself. Stop looking for the world to validate you, because the world will always find reasons to doubt you. They will say you're too young, too old, too inexperienced, too different. If you let their voices be louder than your own, you will never step into the greatness you were created for. But if you dare to say, I am enough, I can do this, I have what it takes, then no amount of doubt, no amount of rejection, no amount of failure can stop you. Ladies and gentlemen, taking control of yourself through self-belief is not about pretending you don't have flaws. It's about accepting them and still choosing to move forward. It's about saying, yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've failed before. Yes, I've got weaknesses, but I also have strengths, I also have gifts, and I also have a purpose that nobody can take from me. When you believe in yourself, you stop waiting for perfect conditions and you start creating progress. You stop letting fear of failure hold you hostage and you start realizing that every failure is just a stepping stone. Self-belief gives you the courage to start and the strength to finish. It's not about what the world says, it's about what you say to yourself when you look in the mirror. That voice must be louder than every doubt around you, and when you learn to believe in yourself without hesitation, you will unlock a level of control, confidence, and courage that no obstacle can break. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to take control of yourself, you must take action. Action is the bridge between what you dream about and what you actually achieve. Without action, dreams stay locked inside your imagination. Ideas stay trapped on paper, and potential never becomes reality. You can talk about success all day long. You can plan it. You can pray about it. You can even study it. But until you move, until you take that first step, nothing changes. Action is what separates those who wish from those who win. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need every answer. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need the courage to take the next step. So many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they hesitate. They wait for the right time. They wait for permission. They wait until the fear goes away. But waiting is the enemy of progress. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment where you feel completely ready. You don't get confidence first. You build confidence by acting. You don't get clarity first. You gain clarity as you move forward. The people you admire, the ones who inspire you, they didn't know how it would all work out. They just took action. They stepped into the unknown with faith that they would figure it out along the way. That's how life works. You learn by doing, not by waiting. Action is proof of belief. Anybody can say they want success. Anybody can talk about their goals, but your actions reveal the truth. If you believe in your dream, you will back it up with effort. If you believe in your future, you will work for it today. Words without action are just noise, but consistent action is power. Every small action compounds over time. Every step you take, no matter how small, move you closer to the life you want. Too many people underestimate the power of small actions. They think if they can't make a big move, then it's not worth it. But progress is progress. And consistency beats intensity every single time. One brick at a time builds a house. One step at a time creates a journey. And one action at a time transforms a life. The truth is, action is uncomfortable. It forces you out of your comfort zone. It makes you face rejection, failure, and setbacks. That's why so many people avoid it. But comfort never produces greatness. If you only do what feels safe, you'll never discover what's possible. Action requires courage, and courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of fear. Fear will whisper that you're not ready, but action shouts back that you'll never be ready until you begin. Every time you take action, you weaken fear's grip on your life. Every time you step forward, you grow stronger, wiser, and bolder. Action also creates momentum. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep moving. Success is not about giant leaps. It's about building momentum with steady effort. Think about riding a bike. You wobble at first, it feels unstable, but once you start pedaling consistently, balance comes naturally. Life is the same way. The hardest part is starting, but once you do, momentum carries you. And the beautiful thing about momentum is that it multiplies your result. One opportunity leads to another. One victory opens the door for the next. But you'll never experience that momentum if you never start. Ladies and gentlemen, action is the great equalizer. You may not have the same resources as someone else. You may not have the same connections. You may not even have the same level of talent. But if you are willing to act, if you are willing to take consistent steps towards your dream, you can surpass people who have more than you. Action beats talent when talent refuses to act. Action beats opportunity when opportunity goes unclaimed. And action will beat fear, doubt, and excuses every single time. Taking control of yourself means you start talking about what you're going to do and you start proving it with what you do every day. Ladies and gentlemen, the last key to taking control of yourself is perseverance. Perseverance is the ability to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to quit. It is the strength to get back up one more time after life has knocked you down. It is the decision to stay the course when the road gets hard, when the doors close in your face, and when the world tells you no. Everybody wants success until they realize that success requires struggle. Everybody wants the reward until they realize that the reward is hidden behind rejection, disappointment, and pain. Perseverance is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Because it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you refuse to stay down. The truth is, life will test you. It will test your patience, your strength, your belief, and your willpower. You will face storms that shake you to your core. You will face delays that make you wonder if your dream is even worth it. You will face voices, both outside and inside, that tell you to give up. But perseverance is a voice that answers back. Not yet. I'm not finished. This is not the end of my story. Perseverance gives you the courage to endure pain, to outlast the struggle, and to trust that on the other side of hardship is breakthrough. Without perseverance, every obstacle becomes a dead end. With perseverance, every obstacle becomes a detour that still leads you to your destination. I've seen it in my own life and in the lives of others. People quit too soon. They give up right before the blessing, right before the opportunity, right before the door opens. They let discouragement talk them out of their future. Perseverance is the refusal to let temporary setbacks create permanent defeat. Just because you lost today does not mean you will lose tomorrow. Just because you fail once does not mean you are a failure. Perseverance says, I am willing to keep showing up, to keep fighting, to keep believing, even when the results don't show up as quickly as I hoped. And let me tell you something, perseverance builds character like nothing else. Success without struggle makes you fragile. But when you've been through some things, when you survived some storms, when you've endured the pain and kept moving, you become unshakable. You learn to appreciate the wins more deeply. You learn to trust yourself more fully. You learn that you are stronger than you thought. Perseverance doesn't just get you to the goal. It transforms you into the kind of person who can handle the goal once you get there. Because if you quit every time it gets hard, even if success came, you wouldn't have the strength to sustain it. Perseverance is what gives you that strength. Ladies and gentlemen, perseverance is not glamorous. It doesn't always look exciting. It looks like staying up late to work when you'd rather sleep. It looks like showing up again and again when nobody is watching. It looks like crying in private, but still putting on your game face in public. Perseverance is gritty, it's raw, it's uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Because every single person you admire, every single story of success you've ever heard is a story of perseverance. Behind every victory is 100 moments of doubt, 1,000 setbacks, and 1,000,000 reasons to quit. The difference is they didn't quit. They persevered. Taking control of yourself means you stop giving in to the urge to quit when things get tough. It means you decide in advance that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. It means you commit to the journey, not just the destination. Perseverance is the daily choice to keep pressing forward even when progress feels invisible. And if you can master that, if you can develop the resilience to keep going when others give up, you'll not only take control of yourself, you will unlock doors that only perseverance can open.